Bernstein Unfiltered. Unfiltered on 312 Sports.
DBU on 312, brought to you in partnership with our friends, the Chicago Window guys, specifically Russ Armstrong.
I hope your singing got caught in the open.
What, the sunshine on my penis? That
that makes
part?
me happy.
I that's the problem when you're starting and I hear the music and I don't know exactly what is getting picked up. But
and then I knew if I started singing, you would also start singing, and so I knew it's just
sing
pull
all
the
the time.
strings. Here we go. I sing. I know he'll sing. I can play the open while he's singing. Yes.
Well, I'm not allowed to sing at home.
You shouldn't be. I know.
I have to sing when I come to work. I'm not allowed.
Sunshine
They tell Dad, stop.
On my penis makes me
happy. It is Friday, and that means we obviously have our Friday Feedback Friday and a top 10 list for you. But just a quick note, there's a lot of chatter out there in these basketball streets about the Bulls job, which you should not be surprised. The phrase that I'm hearing is people coming out of the woodwork for this job. Whether or not Michael Reinsdorf has said you got to be comfortable with having Billy Donovan as your coach, and whether or not that was then mitigated by other statements, there's a lot of gray area here. That some intended, some unintended, but apparently the list of names and the people who have already expressed interest is. I am just told that there are some names on this list that would shock and surprise. But the one that is getting some attention for a bit of an outside-the-box possibility here, just keep in mind the name Austin Brown.
Okay.
And if you haven't heard the name Austin Brown, he is either the head or the co-head of CAA's basketball division. Like in major successful, well-liked agent, Austin Brown of CAA. He has a law degree from Washington and Lee. He's risen to the very, very top of his business as an NBA agent. He is very well-liked and well-respected, and he's from Evanston. He is a proud ETHS grad, and I don't know if that would be the specific attraction here or if this would be the kind of job that he would want, because that's a pretty good gig being the head of the basketball division of CAA. So I don't know if he'd want all the aggravation and sleepless nights of coming back to do this, but the interviews are going to start relatively soon. I am told that John Paxson is willing to lend his expertise to some of this and helping what is left of the front office right now through the draft prep. And I also found out that most of the pre-draft work is done. The scouting reports are in. They've been filed. The board is set pending some of the individual team workouts, the equivalent of a pro day that is still going to occur. But as I find out stuff, I will let you know. But that was the name I've been given. Just, I think, amid anybody else who you can find on NBA websites who are working at some of the jobs around there. I mentioned Matt Lloyd before, who had a connection to the Bulls, if that's important to them, or a connection to Chicago. But just keep in mind, as the job is open, that of the name of Austin Brown.
Mind if I insert a couple things here?
I never do.
Just looking at his client list,
pretty
lengthy client list of NBA players, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really significant names currently in the NBA that he has as clients, but there are two names that jump out at me. One is because this was Henry's favorite basketball player ever as a Chicago Bull, Denzel Valentine.
Oh, God.
He loved Denzel Valentine.
Well, those 37-foot shots will do that, yes.
He loved Denzel Valentine.
Okay.
The second name that really jumps out at me, though, is one no longer in the NBA, Jaden Ivey.
Yes, that's true. He is listed as Jaden Ivey's agent, in fact, yes.
But on the plus side of things, Cooper Flagg is a client.
I believe Dwayne Wade was on there.
Dwayne Wade, correct. Trey Young,
OG
Aaron
Anunoby.
Wiggins, yes.
Yeah, it's a long list.
Mitchell, yes. Yeah, that's a pretty lengthy list of really important players currently in the NBA as well.
So just, I don't know how it's going to end up. I don't know much more than that, but I know that was a name that that should be in your mind at the moment. So with that, why don't we get to our Friday Feedback Friday?
Denzel Valentine still playing basketball, by the way, professionally in Italy.
Well, that can be a
great gig, man, if you can get it.
It can be you know what team he's playing on, do you know?
Let me see if I can butcher this a little bit. No, hang on. Player for
you can't butcher Italian.
Sure I can. Reyer. Rayer Venzia Mestre in the Italian Lega.
That might be the B League.
It says Basket Series A.
Oh, Series A. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So he,
very pleased.
Previously played for Olympia Milano.
Well, good for him.
So still playing in Italy.
Good for him. I want to start with the jokes. You came with some jokes this week, and thank you, because I mentioned when I talked about the 312 Sports Pro Shop that's open via 312sports.com or the 312 Sports app, and you want to start buying 312 swag, it's all there. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, windbreakers, duffel bags, everything you want with 312 Sports on it.
Skateboards.
Muggers, buggerers.
No, there's no buggerers. No.
I think so. I think you can get a 312 Sports buggerer.
We took those off.
Okay, good. Probably smart. The show's lawyer, Glenn, he said, because he emailed, because I said, if I see you in public wearing 312 swag, I'm going to hug you. And you may not even see me, creeping up on you, but I may hug you. And I said, unless you've got like open wounds and you're too gross. So Glenn asked this question. If I'm out in public wearing a 312 shirt and I get a severe cut and I have to use the shirt as a tourniquet, do I get a hug? You do, Glenn. I don't know if anybody else does, but I think there'll definitely be a one-off for you. You'll get a hug. But I think if you're using a shirt as a tourniquet, that's more than a severe cut. And it depends which limb we're talking about here, or which appendage, I should say. Depending what gets cut off and what the tourniquet is doing. So asked and answered on that one. Dale said, hey guys, regarding the Kit Kat heist, how many times do you think the detective working on that Kit Kat heist has been interviewing a person of interest who offers some unbelievable alibi, causing the detective's junior partner to mutter, "Give me a break"? And then the questions stop and they all have a nice chuckle.
That's good.
That's good. And Johnny from Plainfield responding to the Todd Monken and his haircut. He said, I heard Todd Monken's comment. I have come to the conclusion he was trying to convey one of two things. One, he either got his hair cut under a bridge
by a troll,
or he thought they moved the location of the photo to under a bridge.
Okay. That works.
Yes.
I like the idea of getting the haircut under a bridge by a troll.
That was just
that's good. Yeah,
he is going to have absolutely special stuff.
Tell you, we're gonna follow him all season long. I don't know. Did you see the one that came in earlier today from Doug? Because we asked this question, and he says, "Hi, Dan and Matt. Apologies if you two discussed this already, but did you see the White Sox promotion for Tuesday, August 11th?"
Oh,
that
no,
was the Pope hat.
I emailed him back. Yes, I said we did discuss it, and I was going to be reading some responses to the question that we asked, because I think that might be the first time we actively solicited feedback to something.
Yes, and he says raised Catholic, went to a Catholic high school, altar boy from 4th grade through senior year. And I cannot decide if this is in poor taste or hilarious. Now, if he can't decide, how are we supposed to decide?
Well,
Or
okay,
should we not decide then?
can I read some of what came back? Because there's really, really good stuff here.
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
so this is a perfect place to start. On the question, I said, if you are a Catholic, if you're a practicing Catholic, how does it feel to have the White Sox going back to that well again with something as significant and meaningful and as the Pope's mitre, as the Pope's hat?
Because you and I, non-Catholics, we said that it's too much, and that they had their run from May of last year through the end of the season, and it felt comfortable and right to end at last year.
Okay, so here's some of the response we got. This is really, really good.
Okay.
Mike in Schaumburg, he said, I, as a semi-devout Catholic these days, saw the White Sox mitre. I furrowed my brow and thought, yeah, that's too much. I laughed at all the memes, the T-shirts, the gifts, but even my basic knowledge of tradition knows the mitre is reserved for a select few in the church who've attained levels of spiritual authority. But the more I thought about it, I couldn't escape the fact that Pope Leo has helped the world remember that the White Sox exist. It's been well documented that ESPN has on several occasions forgot that fact, and seeing the Pope sporting a hat in Vatican City has given me and maybe other White Sox fans, I assume, a chance to puff our chests out a bit. And simply existing is a low bar to clear for a professional sports team in the third biggest market in the country, but that's where we are. Okay. And I suspect that's why they're going to milk this connection for all it's been worth. And then something else hit me. As I was cleaning out the back of my car this afternoon, I discovered a Bill Veeck bobblehead giveaway from last year. I stared into the eyes of caricature Veeck, and he was symbolically shaking his head at me as if to say, yeah, the mitre's a great idea. And that's when I realized I first learned about the White Sox mitre hat when I happened across an article on People Magazine's website. You know who would have loved seeing the White Sox featured in People Magazine? Bill Veeck.
Yeah.
While I might find the mitre thing a little silly and maybe a little insensitive, it's the White Sox. They have a history of silly marketing, whether from the brain of Veeck himself, inspired by his legacy. It gives them an immunity when it comes to chintz because it's part of their history. I'm not devout enough in my Catholicism to be utterly offended by this. I'm sure some are, which I can understand. But I appreciate this is what the White Sox have always done to stay relevant.
That's good. That's well written, well thought out.
That's good. There's more. Yeah. This is Mark, who said, I'm a lifelong Sox fan. I now live in Evansville, Indiana. I teach at a Catholic school. I am what many would call a devout Catholic.
Okay.
And I'm thrilled with the idea of Pope Leo being from Chicago and a Sox fan, and any sports franchise that doesn't capitalize on the connections missing an opportunity. The whole narrative being at the World Series game, being shown on screen, and now being Pope, it's amazing. And the White Sox being God's chosen team while also being owned by Jerry Reinsdorf is just too funny in every way possible. I joked with my students that this was Pope Leo's first Holy Week and Easter weekend since being elected. And he said the White Sox have now swept the Blue Jays on Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday, and the White Sox should be unbeatable on Easter weekend. He said, I have no issue with this giveaway at all. And I'm trying to obtain one for my classroom. I think the issue is the timing of the announcement with everything else going on in the world and what Pope Leo has been saying the last few weeks. The timing is just off. If this would have been announced at the start of the season or at Sox Fest, it's not that much of an issue. That's from Mark.
Also well thought out. And I failed to even put the connection together of the timely sweep of the Blue Jays. It didn't even occur to me.
Well, that's why we have the feedback, right?
Yeah,
this is our buddy, and I think by default, probably the honorary chaplain of Dan Bernstein Unfiltered.
Hey, so I wonder though, would Teacher Mark would he use the hat? Would he implement the hat in his classroom? Maybe you're the student of the day, or maybe it's like a new modern dunce cap.
No.
How would he utilize it?
I don't know. Maybe it sits on a desk. I don't know. Maybe a good
Maybe
answer.
He wears it for class.
Well, this is from Father Nick.
Okay.
As a priest, and obviously a practicing Catholic. Well, I'd hope so, Nick.
Well, there's no guarantee. You don't know that for sure.
Yeah, we'd have a very different story if you're a priest, but you're kind of a lapsed Catholic.
Yes.
He said, I would not consider the hat giveaway by itself egregious or deeply offensive. But for me, it does raise concerns about where this all will lead. Next year, will there be holy water showers in the outfield or rosary giveaways with baseball beads? All of these are examples of sacred objects, which are tangible items that are meant to evoke or point a believer to a greater spiritual reality. A priest or cleric blessing an item simply designates the object for this kind of use. For instance, holy water isn't considered magic, but it's meant to remind a believer of their baptismal identity as a Christian. The mitre and the shepherd's staff, known as a crozier, together symbolize the Pope's responsibility to teach, guide, and serve the people entrusted to his spiritual care. It is not the same because these are symbols and not people, but trivializing what we call sacramentals with novelty hats does seem somewhat akin to caricaturing ethnicities with cartoonish logos. I think there are healthier and more appropriate ways, such as the mural outside Section 140, that celebrates not only Pope Leo himself, but the social and religious heritage of Chicago. I appreciate the conversation, and that is from Nick.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, we're not going to get much more of an authority than that. While we're on the topic of the White Sox, Cam in Bridgeport says, every year for more than 20 years, my family's had a tradition of going to Sox opening day. The date got bumped from Thursday to Friday, and nobody could make it this year. I even hit up some fringe guys, no takers. I thought, well, I'm going to the game. I'm just going to buy a ticket and go by myself, and that's what I did. He said, I smoked a joint before I left, though everything I'm about to describe can absolutely be experienced sober. I just like giving the voice in my head a little something extra when we're spending the whole afternoon together. That's an interesting way of putting that. He said, I got to the park. I grabbed the obligatory hot dog with grilled onions and a last year's Miller Lite, and something immediately felt different. Because I was alone, I saw everything around me in a way I never had before. I watched an excited little kid light up while putting on his brand new Murakami jersey. I saw a parent scold a child who had wandered off. I saw a very heavy, very drunk guy locked in the eternal struggle of trying to keep his jeans up around his waist. Should go to Tampa. All around me were 30,000 plus people who were just plain happy for no other reason than being back at the ballpark with their tribe. I started in my assigned seat, but I've done my share of seat hopping at the rate. So I was excited to try this on my own. Inning by inning, I bounced around, sometimes locking in on the game, sometimes just sitting there mindlessly in the moment. But by far, my favorite part was the people, talking to strangers and just watching. In just a few hours, I laughed out loud. I scowled. I said, "Aw," to myself. I felt something I rarely feel these days. Real hope. In a world that feels pretty bleak most days, it was nice to spend an afternoon surrounded by normal, everyday people who reminded me there's still hope out there in the exact things social media seems determined to suck out of us every single day. So here's my modest suggestion, if you're listening. The next time the stars don't align and you can't find a dance partner for the game, just go by yourself. Buy the single ticket. Grab the hot dog. Wander the stadium. People watch. You might be surprised how much you enjoy your own company and how much life there is to see when you're not inside your usual social bubble.
Very good.
Good advice from Cam in Bridgeport. That is, I appreciate the quality of writing and the quality of thought there. Thank you.
I think Cam's a regular contributor to the show. Yeah, always enjoy it.
As is long-timer Cindy in Tacoma. I said, I've enjoyed listening to you guys talk about the NCAA men's Final Four, the Illini run. I'm kind of stunned that what happened over the weekend at the women's Final Four didn't come up in conversation. At the end of the third quarter of South Carolina UConn, UConn head coach and gigantic penis Gino Auriemma decided he needed to paint Dawn Staley as something of a lesser human being by not shaking her hand at the beginning of or for not shaking his hand at the beginning of the game. He also brought up how one of his players' jerseys got ripped by one of Dawn Staley's players and saying the refs aren't doing their job. All three things were proven false with video evidence.
Yep.
The jersey rip was done by his own player in a fit of frustration over what
it was a tiny rip in it, Dan. I don't know if you saw the actual video. It was a little rip that she ripped significantly further.
Yep, over clean guarding by South Carolina. His blow-up and wishy-washy post-game conference explanations tainted what was a pretty good Final Four. Instead of talking about UCLA winning their first title and the women's title and the first title for the school in basketball since 1978, everyone instead was talking about Gino Auriemma. The focus being taken off the game itself because an insecure man baby wasn't getting the calls he wanted to keep his undefeated streak going. I feel really bad for Dawn Staley, and especially the lost story in this, in UCLA's head coach Corey Close, who had her team ready to play and deserved the win. While Gino did issue an apology, it was near game time, so once again he made himself the story, thus making the apology more of an I'm sorry I got caught lying and debunked thing than a genuine apology for being an ass bag of the highest order. She said, I said this in a Who Ya Crappin' entry I sent over 13 years ago, and it still holds true. Gino Auriemma isn't worthy of holding Pat Summitt's jock. Signed, Cindy from Tacoma, Washington.
That's good stuff.
That's really good. And that, yes. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and hey, with that win by UCLA, the ladies, that's a Big Ten sweep of the three big championships.
How about it?
Men's basketball, ladies basketball, and then football. Big Ten.
Will admit that I forgot that UCLA was a Big Ten team.
Yes, you did. When I said that the other day, you
were
like,
what?
Wait, what? What? You're like, how does that work? Like, well, UCLA is the Big Ten. That's how that works.
That's how it works. Now I get it. This note from Tyler. He said, hey, Dan, been listening to you since I was in kindergarten when my dad would put you and Terry on the car radio.
Good dad right there.
There it is, yeah. You know who else did that? Io DeSumu's dad.
Oh, seriously?
Io said so. He said that he'd get picked up at school. They would listen to Boers and Bernstein. And that's how he grew up listening to the score.
Awesome.
And Tyler says, I'm currently a hitting coach in Charleston, South Carolina. I played D2 baseball at Lewis. My freshman year in 2020, 2021, he's already a hitting coach. He said, I saw Riley Martin of the Cubs pitch against my Flyers while I was catching in our bullpen. Huh. We were in Quincy. I have family that lives in the area, but across the river in Missouri. My parents, my brother came, my aunt, my cousins came. Other friends and relatives were there. They didn't get to see me in action except to warm up the guys in the pen, but they saw Riley Martin whip our asses into submission. He pitched a beaut, 12 strikeouts in 7 innings with 1 hit. It was a doubleheader, and during COVID, doubleheaders were 7 innings. That bus ride was depressing, but our coach told us, well, that's one way to lose to a future draft pick. And watching him pitch his debut while I'm here in South Carolina was nostalgic. I'm so happy a Division II guy is showing what we can do.
That's great.
Thanks for the story, Tyler. I appreciate that. Old buddy Spencer sends this in. He said, I'm playing catch-up on OWC, but one could argue that Jaden Ivey has been the Bulls' most significant role player this season for the role he played in making it impossible to retain this front office. It's a shame that performance on the court isn't enough to inspire a long overdue change. I'm not going to congratulate the Bulls for technically doing a correct thing now, but the most optimistic thing I can say about the current state of the team is that it's so completely upside down, I can't clearly determine the appropriate magnitude of fucked this organization is for the next several years. I'm glad you pointed out the irony that the demise of this regime was ultimately a direct result of them finally doing what everyone asked for by picking a lane. But too little, too late is seldom more appropriately applied than it is here. You can't realize you passed the exit ramp 5 miles ago and then abruptly veer head-on into the guardrail, hoping your GPS will reroute you to relevance. I wish I could find a grain of hope somewhere beneath a heaping pile of crap that's been amassing over the last 4 years. But on a more positive note, I want to add my voice to the praise multiple people have expressed regarding the Julia Poe interview on OWC. There were several interesting layers to that discussion, but everything she said is just as, if not more relevant, after the news of Acme's firing. Most notable were Michael Reinsdorf's role in basketball ops and his priorities regarding certain things bigger than basketball. And I do find comfort in not having to add villainous to the long issues I have with the team I root for. Thanks, Spencer. Agreed on Julia Poe. She called it, if you were listening closely. She called it. She didn't do it expressly, but she walked us right up to exactly what happened. And I definitely appreciate that. John in Berlin said, Dan, when you were excited, you were talking about a new general manager, maybe wanting a different coach besides Billy Donovan. He said, maybe there's a guy coaching in Germany right now. Well, Dan, as a current German resident, I can assure you there is not. Maybe the new executive can take a long, hard look at up-and-coming Bamberg coach Anton Gavil, but most likely it will continue to look elsewhere or just keep Billy. Keep it up, guys. John in Berlin.
Yeah, John, keep your eyes open for any good coaching prospects.
We need the scouting. We need the help. Lastly, Brandon. A few weeks back, I was listening. You were talking about how you prepare your bratwurst. I meant to write it down. I was busy. I didn't have the time. Share how you prepare your brats again. All right. This is easy. Whatever your choice of brat is, I love the veal brats from a Paulina Meat Market. I generally like, or a mixture of veal and pork, whatever it may be. This is the way that I have done it. And I don't always do it this way, but get whatever your go-to big pan is. It could be cast iron or just whatever it is. Maybe you put down a tiny bit of canola or olive oil, just enough to grease it a little bit. And then brown the brats well. All sides. If they happen to pop open, no worries. Just brown them well. Then put in yellow onion, sliced relatively thinly. And let the onion start to cook down. I add a tiny dusting of chili powder for color and for flavor. You don't want too much on there because the grease from the brats is going to flavor everything. After the onions start to cook down a little bit or caramelize around the edges, get a good, cheap American macro beer. Miller High Life is generally the one that I use because you can go buy one 24-ounce can of it. But anything that is an American macro. And I pour some of the beer over that, douse everything, cook it down. Let it simmer, let it cook down, and eventually add a little more. You don't have to use the whole beer, but you'll know you're getting a good onion beer glop. And take your tongs and deglaze the bottom of the pan, get all those little bits and the grease up there, and let them simmer for a while after the glop gets gloppy. And then I just will, you can toast the buns. You don't have to toast the buns. I will put the brat on the bun, the onion beer glop, and then a line of mustard, and I'm good. And if you don't want the onions that way, that's fine. You can just do the beer over the brats and simmer it down and make a little sauce out of it, and then if you like, sometimes you like the crunch of a raw onion, do that. If I'm using raw onion, I like white onion instead of yellow. There you go. I don't know, Matt, if you have a personal brat recipe. You asked if there's any way you do them regularly.
No, I never do them the same way. I sometimes do them in the pans, a lot of times on the grill. Sometimes I'll put them in raw, just in a giant beer bath with onions, let them cook that way. Yeah.
That's Sheboygan style, right?
Yeah,
the actual, the full baptism in the beer.
Yeah, but usually if I'm doing brats, I can't wait I'll cook them and then just to eat. I mean, I don't wait too long. I can't wait too long because I'll get brats from Brat Stop.
Oh.
So we'll go up there and we'll grab food.
20 minutes?
Yeah, and 20 minutes tops. We'll have lunch or dinner, and then I'll grab it like a half a dozen on the way out.
Smart.
Yeah.
You know what else is smart when you're shopping for windows is making sure the Chicago window guys are taking care of you, and they do, because that's what they do. Russ Armstrong and Chicago window guys is going to make sure, it's very simple, that you have the best windows at the best price, and that your installation and your entire experience is also the best possible. Because Russ is here in Chicago, his factory is here in Chicago. He doesn't use any third-party labor for any phase of this whole thing. That he's going to come out and talk to you. He'll talk to you about Windows. And then you can do what I did and say, Russ, I don't know anything about Windows. What do you want me to do? Say, oh, I know this Window's better than this window. I say, I got to trust you that we're just going to get a good deal and good Windows. He goes, fine, I got you. And if you get a better price somewhere for the same kinds of things, he'll match. It's a price match guarantee, so you don't have to worry about saying, well, I could have done this, I could have done that. No. The whole point is that Russ is going to make sure you're happy. And then next thing you know, he'll go back to his factory with all the measurements. He custom makes the windows, and then his people come and install them. And life is better that way because I've got almost every single window in my house is now a Chicago Window Guy's window, and it's way better. We spend less on heating and cooling because the house is holding its temperature better. And they also clean easier, and they open easier. Everything's better. Call him. 847-302-9171. Check out his 5-star reviews at chicagowindowguys.com.
All right, buddy. I got a quick follow-up here. Just got this sent to me on Twitter.
Yeah.
Jared sent this over, and this was a tweet from Section 108, from the 108.
Yeah.
By popular demand, White Sox announced ballpark-wide Sox Pope hat giveaway. So it's not limited supply. It's for every fan.
Hey, how about it?
So due to overwhelming fan demand, the White Sox today announced the White Sox Pope hat is now a giveaway item scheduled to be distributed to all fans who attend the game on Tuesday, August 11th versus Cincinnati at 6:40 p.m. So what started out as a limited giveaway is now a full-on every fan giveaway.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing that, Jared.
There we go. Dang, I'm glad that came right in. I don't know if he was somehow able to. We haven't even posted the episode, and yet he knows what we've been talking about somehow. Are you ready for my list here?
I am. I want to know your list. So what we did today is with the start of the Cubs and Pirates series at Wrigley Field today, our first 120 game on a Friday here for the Chicago Cubs. We have the top 10 Pirates of all time.
The top 10 Pirates, and if you are a diehard listener of 312 Sports, you will remember that back in the day, and I don't know if we were doing this still, it was Forward Progress or it was on DBU, when the Bears played the Raiders, we also did our top 10 Raiders. And the reason why this list was difficult is I didn't want to have to double dip. So there are some famous Pirates. You're like, well, where's Blackbeard and where's Redbeard and where's Bluebeard? And all. I tried to have only new entrants that weren't already covered in our top 10 Raiders, just to keep things on the level here and make sure people aren't accusing me of retconning things in the 312 universe.
By that time with the Raiders, it would have been on FP, so Forward Progress that would have had. I think it was only one, maybe even two tops. We did it on DBU.
Well, I looked at Pirates fictional and real and in between, because there are some who were of that maybe started as real that became mythologized over time. But number 10 is Magnus Heinessen. And some of the questions you're going to ask as we do this, you're going to ask why. Why is Magnus Heinessen on your list? And it's for a fairly simple reason. He was he lived from 1548 to 1589, and he was a privateer from the Faroe Islands, the archipelago in the North Atlantic Ocean. They're part of the Kingdom of Denmark. So Magnus Heinessen was technically Danish, but he's known as Faroese because that's where he was from at the time. And the reason why he's on the list was because of how his piracy career ended. His enemy, Christopher Valkendorf, was constantly in pursuit of Heinessen. And eventually, Valkendorf overtook him. That Magnus was running from Valkendorf, and they found Heinessen being accused of boarding an English ship. Valkendorf carried out what was referred to as a rapid and irregular trial, and Heinessen, 2 days later, was found guilty and beheaded immediately. Now, after he was beheaded. This is after he was exonerated. So when you ask how can that happen, I don't know either, because that kind of sucks is the way I looked at it. He was executed, and then later charges were dropped when it was discovered that it was considered an unfair trial upon appeal, and they basically said, sorry.
Yeah, that's not good.
They took up the case the following year. He was acquitted of all charges. His body was moved and got an honorable burial, and Christopher Valkendorf was stripped of all of his offices. And today, Heinessen is regarded as a hero. But too late.
Yeah, that's no good.
Too late. Magnus Heinessen, number 10. Number 9 is Captain Feathersword.
Okay.
Captain Feathersword, he loves to dance. He's from the Wiggles. And we avoided the Wiggles with the first child and not the second child, to the point of actually going to see the Wiggles in performance at Allstate Arena and in the car having nothing but Wiggles music on. And Captain Feathersword, according to their wiki here for the Wiggles, that he was introduced in 1993 on the EP The Adventures of Captain Feathersword, the Friendly Pirate. He was created because it was recognized that boys love pirates. Okay. Yeah. But he was given a feather sword rather than a normal sword to make him less intimidating to children.
Because he would tickle you to death.
I think that's what he does. He uses a feather as a sword, which he uses to tickle everyone. He has magical musical pirate buttons, which help the captain sing in any way and dance like anyone and anything in the world. Known for saying, "Ahoy there, me hearties." And whenever he says, "Well, blow me down," he falls backwards. So
yeah, and then he would like get children onto the boat with like using candy, and then and then he'd
sail away.
His feather sword, yeah,
Captain Feathersword, the number 9 pirate. Number 8, and I never knew his name before, is Painty. Do you know who Painty the pirate is?
I might, but I don't know him by that name.
Believe me, you know Painty the pirate, because it looks like a portrait, a framed portrait of a pirate, but the mouth moves like the characters in Clutch Cargo.
Okay.
And all Painty says is, "Are you ready, kids?" Does that help?
It's the start of something because he's asking, "Are you ready, kids?"
Come on. Are you ready, kids? Who?
It's got something to do with SpongeBob.
Lives in a pineapple under the sea. Yes, Painty the pirate is the pirate that you see in that portrait.
Okay.
That begins every SpongeBob.
I didn't know he had a name.
Episode. I didn't either, but he's number 8.
Okay.
He's number 8. He's Painty the pirate. Number 7 is John Crabbe. And it's a very specific reason why.
Okay.
I put John Crabbe on here because he's an important pirate in that he did something first that others did not. John Crabbe was the first to use a ship-mounted catapult.
Huh.
That we know there were cannons, there were guns, but he's a Flemish pirate who lived from 1305 to 1332, and he was known for his successful use of a ship-mounted catapult.
Did you say 1305 to 1332?
Yep. That's when he was a pirate. He died in 1352.
Okay,
that was just his. I'm on pirate graphs here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that was his piracy years.
His pirate years. Okay,
his active years, right?
Got it.
Because they're not going to grade him on his non-active years on pirate graphs.
That makes sense.
Yep. But if you're the guy who like, you know what? We're putting a catapult on this bitch. What? What, John? Yep. That's right. See that catapult over there? Wheel it onto the boat. No. Oh, yeah. Yep. We're going to get everything we need. and we're threatening people with that when we're just flinging things at them.
Well, he had to figure out the angle and the direction because
Yes!
from the start, he had at the start of the boat, and it would shoot the catapult into right into the boat itself.
Yeah, like Wile E. Coyote, where
Yes,
he
he would-
slaps him right on the deck.
Yeah.
Or he could actually catapult himself to shore. I would think
what if he sent people? Like maybe he used it to get other guys on the ship, part of the crew,
right,
that weren't performing their jobs.
Instead of walking the plank, here, sit over here.
Catapult him.
Yeah, I got a new seat for you. Hey,
yeah, maybe he disguised it as like a Barco lounger.
Congratulations. You win our special seat of the game.
Yes.
Boing. And away they go. But he's number 7.
Okay.
Congrats, John Crabb, because of the pioneering ship-mounted catapult. Number 6, great pirate name. Awesome pirate name. Rock Brasiliano.
Ooh.
Sounds like a drinking game. But Rock Brasiliano was a Dutch pirate who lived from 1630 to 1681.
Okay.
And he was known specifically for being the cruelest pirate of all time. A notoriously cruel buccaneer, operated out of Port Royal, Jamaica. And he was drunken and debauched. He would threaten to shoot anyone who did not drink with him.
Ooh, Team Lodge.
Team Lodge! Like, you drink with Rock Brasiliano or bad things happen to you. He roasted alive 2 Spanish farmers on wooden spits after they refused to hand over their pigs.
What about the farm animals?
He roasted the farmers alive.
Wow.
He treated his Spanish prisoners barbarously, typically cutting off their limbs or roasting all of them alive over a fire.
Wow. This guy had issues.
The Spaniards feared him so much that Spanish mothers used his name as a hush word for their children.
Wow.
That's a bad dude there.
Yeah, so like moms would the kids acting up, you tell them that Rock Brasiliano's going to come get you tonight. Yeah.
Going to come cook you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, if you don't behave, I'm calling Rock Brasiliano. I think that's going to whip you into shape right quick.
It's a great name for a bar too.
What is Rock Brasiliano?
Yeah.
All right, number 5, Richard Worley.
Richard Worley.
Richard
Worley.
The
one-armed man? It's not the one-armed man, right?
It is not. He lived. He all it says here is they know he died in 1718 or 1719. He was a pirate, active in the Caribbean Sea and the east coast of the American colonies during the 18th century. And the reason why Richard Worley makes the list, he designed the Jolly Roger. And the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Jolly Roger, Pirates, not the candy.
Not Jolly. He did not design. Oh, if he designed Jolly Rancher, he wouldn't be in piracy. Are you kidding? He'd be sitting on a beach earning 20%. No. But the Jolly Roger, the actual Pittsburgh Pirates, raise the Jolly Roger when they win the skull and crossbones. There had been other versions of the flag that had the skull above the crossbones. His alternate flag design, which you can see on Wikipedia, was just a skeleton. And Worley described it as a black flag, 2 G's, with a human with an E on it, skeleton with on it which so much terrified. It's not terrifying. The skull and crossbones is way more terrifying than the actual skeleton that looks like the one for the nervous system on Schoolhouse Rock. So that just looks like Schoolhouse Rock. And they would see the ship coming, they're like, oh, that's like Schoolhouse Rock. So it's probably going to be fun and educational. But no, it would be him. And then he'd send you to Rock Chalowski, who would...
Brasiliano.
Oh, wait. Rock Chalowski's the number 1 overall baseball draft pick out of UCLA, right?
Yes. Yeah. Rock Brasiliano is the pirate.
All right. I'm going to get Rock Brasiliano confused with Rock Chalowski, and I'm going to think Rock Chalowski roasts people over the spit alive. So just be ready for that. Number 4 on the list of my all-time pirates. Number 4 is Jose Gaspar, who is mythical, but his nickname was Gasparilla or Gasparilla, who supposedly lived from 1756 to 1821. He terrorized the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, from his base in Southwest Florida. Known as the last of the Buccaneers. The whole thing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everything you know, a figure in Florida folklore. There is no evidence he actually existed. But have you ever been to Gasparilla in Tampa, the Gasparilla Pirate Festival?
No.
I have. It was held in 1904. I wasn't there for Gasparilla. I happened to be there.
You weren't there in 1904.
I wasn't. I couldn't make it. I was busy. But I was there, and as part of the tradition for Gasparilla, there are crews like there are for Mardi Gras that work on their floats, and there are various types of sort of social standing that allows you to go to different parties and be in different circles and wear different things. It's a big deal to be designated a pirate for the Gasparilla Festival. Usually it is the Tampa Bay leaders or captains of industry or leaders of groups that are allowed to dress as pirates and be part of the invading ship when it comes into harbor. So when I was there for it, I was out with a friend of mine, and we were out in a bar playing pool. And he said, hey, my friend's coming by, he was his law partner. And he said, he's going to be dressed like a pirate. But don't make fun of him and don't make any pirate jokes.
Yep, fat chance.
And I said, Scott, how long have you known me?
Yeah,
and how
not
well
gonna
do you,
happen.
and how well do you are telling me someone's coming in to play pool with us who is dressed like a pirate, and I'm not allowed to make fun of him? He said, no, it's a big deal. It's an honor. So I said, all right, I'm somebody's guest here in town. And I tried to tread lightly, but then when he made a joke about it, all bets were off. And
yes, if Scott would have done better, he would have not told you.
Correct.
And been like, oh, my buddy Bill's coming to meet us. He'll be here about a half hour to play pool. And then Bill walks in full pirate costume.
Right. And I'm left to wonder if that's just how he dresses.
Yes.
Like Steve the pirate from
if
Dodgeball.
Right. And if I'm Scott, I'm not acting any different. I'm not acting weird. I'm just being, hey, Bill, how you doing, man? And Bill, this is Dan. Dan, this is Bill. And you want to jump in this game and just, you need a beer? What are you hungry? Yeah. I would have just gone normal.
Nope. He specifically told me, of all people, he's going to be dressed like a pirate. Don't make fun of him. And then, Maddie, one of our current coworkers who was also a pirate at one point, who is spent a lot of time in Florida and is, a big, powerful person in the broadcast and podcast industry. And he showed me a picture of himself at a bar during Gasparilla. And he was next to a recognizable blonde woman. I said, oh, look at you with a nice smiling picture. They're at the same party with Pam Bondi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a letdown of a story.
I bet that was fun.
Yeah.
Yay. So Jose Gaspar, number 4, all-time pirate. Number 3, the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Okay. Nice.
Has to be said as if you are Fessick, played by Andre the Giant, the Dread Pirate Roberts, the feared pirate from The Princess Bride. And I learned, and I have read the book, but it was a long time ago, that there is a bit of a different history from the novel to the movie. So the Dread Pirate Roberts was a name that would be used and passed along, and it was indeterminate if there was a real original Dread Pirate Roberts, and others would take up the mantle and take that title and continue to sail the ship. So it's sort of a question of identity, or the parable of the ship of Theseus. There's the original Roberts, who retired after 15 years in Patagonia, and that's when Ryan picked Wesley to be the next Dread Pirate Roberts. There was Clooney, the original Roberts' first mate. That's only in the book. There was Cummerbund. Then there was Ryan. And then there was Wesley. It was Ryan who told Wesley, I'll most likely kill you tomorrow, or most likely kill you in the morning. Wesley, we presume, retired at the end of the novel. And at the end of the movie, they make it clear that Inigo Montoya would make a good Dread Pirate Roberts. So we presume that Inigo became DPR. And in the novel, it is said that there's someone named Pierre who was in line to assume the title after Wesley. In the film's continuity, neither Clooney nor Pierre are mentioned, but Wesley does state how many individuals have held the title between the original Roberts and Cummerbund. So, number 3, Dread Pirate Roberts. Number 2 is a very specific version of Long John Silver from Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. And it is
it the restaurant version?
It is not.
Oh.
It is the portrayal of Long John Silver by actor Wallace Beery. And it means something because Wallace Beery was a well-known actor who he won the Academy Award for Best Actor in The Champ. He was well established. His portrayal of Long John Silver was the first speaking version of the Long John Silver character. And it's Wallace Beery with the parrot on the shoulder and the peg leg and me mateys and me hearties. He started that.
Oh.
He did. The whole way we talk about talk like a pirate, speak like yar, yar, har, yar, blow the men down. That's all him. That is one guy. We didn't have a way, there was no idea how pirates are supposed to sound until Wallace Beery portrayed Long John Silver. Everything stemmed from that.
So do you know that the history behind that? That was, I mean, was he directed in that way? Is that what he came, like, they're like, hey, you need to have a pirate voice? Is there anything you read or learned about it?
No, it's just that he played that role. That happened to be his take on that role. I'm not sure where it came from. If it was
like, I would love to know the genesis of it. It's like, all right, I need to talk. What would a pirate sound like? Yar, I want to sound like this.
He created that.
Interesting.
And even down to like ship's captains, you watch that State Farm commercial, like, 'tis a big storm coming. That all owes to the performance of Wallace Beery.
Nice.
So that is why he is the number 2 pirate of all time. Any guesses in my world who is an easy number 1?
Well, I don't know if you mentioned him, but just by accident earlier. I don't know if you're going to say Jack Sparrow or Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball.
Nope.
I know you gave him a quick mention there. I'm disappointed he didn't make the list.
I should. I probably should have.
Make it either. Yeah.
Jack Sparrow. I've never seen any of those movies.
You don't have to.
But no. But I would. Yeah, I probably overlooked Steve the Pirate just because it is yet another Alan Tudyk performance.
Yeah.
That is awesome because he's always awesome.
Now, I had another one that you didn't mention, but you did mention from SpongeBob. It was Mr. Krabs, who's a pirate on the show. The only other one that I would be disappointed if you're not to mention is from the Lonely Island skit on SNL, where Michael Bolton sings the Jack Sparrow song and dresses up like a pirate. That's probably the only other
Nope.
I would give to a pirate. All right, so who's number 1 on your list?
Han Solo. That's easy. That is by far the most.
A pirate,
he's a pirate, and he's only referred to it. I mean, we know that he's a smuggler and everything. He does.
No, you're right. It
is Lando Calrissian who greets him on Bespin and the old pirate.
Yeah,
and
no, you're right. Yep,
and
good call.
guess what? Look at what he's wearing. Look at what Han Solo's wearing. He's wearing a big white puffy shirt and a black vest. He doesn't, he's dressed like a pirate.
I was thinking I went more YMCA vibes, but yeah, you're right.
No, he's a pirate.
Yeah, he's a pirate. It's overlooked how Lando greets him. Yeah. But no, he's definitely a pirate. That's a good
the whole thing. Like he's wearing a pirate costume, and he's got a blaster instead of a sword. It is instead of a lightsaber, he uses the inelegant weapon. But I think it's pretty easy. You need somebody. He's got all the compartments in the Millennium Falcon that can store stuff. We know he made the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs. But when he's there hanging out in Mos Eisley, the hive of scum and villainy, He's there doing pirate stuff. He was hired because they needed a ship, and he would take money to go ahead and take things and smuggle things.
He had a first mate.
Yep, he did. So congratulations, the number one pirate of all time, and by a fairly wide margin, I believe, is Han Solo.
That's good.
That concludes the top 10 list for this week on our Friday DBU. Don't forget to check out the 312 Sports Pro Shop. Go to 312sports.com, or if you haven't gotten the app yet, come on, you know where to find the app. Just look it up in the app thing and get the app, and then go to the Pro Shop and buy some merch. Do that over the weekend. Get something for you. Get something for the kids. You should deck yourself out in 312 Sports stuff. So go ahead and do that. We are brought to you by Chicago Window Guys. We will talk to you on Monday.
Dan Bernstein Unfiltered on 312 Sports.